Welcome to the Southeast Retirement Planners podcast, where we will go beyond the balance sheet with our guests, not only to share from our personal experience as financial advisors of over 25 plus years, but also to learn from our guests about the issues and topics that are important to them. Our firm specializes in taking care of the financial plans for individuals and small businesses by helping our clients identify their individual goals and taking a conservative and ongoing approach to helping accomplish them. We are located in Hickory, North Carolina, and look forward to continuing to serve our clients and our community. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy this week's episode.
Hello, I'm Ryan Edwards here with Les Stewart today, and we're partners at Southeast Retirement Planners, and we look forward to today's broadcast for those individuals familiar with us, and also for those individuals not familiar with us. You can find our podcast, the Southeast Retirement Podcast, online with Google Podcasts, Spotify, and also we have a YouTube channel. So you can catch us everywhere. Call your attention to find out more information about us through our website at seretirementplanners.com, seretirementplanners.com, and I'd encourage you, if you don't know about us, find out a little bit more about us. But today, we're happy that you're going to be listening as we record this. It's about back to school time, and today's topic is going to be associated. I know, Les, you got two kids getting ready to go back to college, and we're going to discuss a little bit of back to school or back to college finance today.
That's right. And, I got two of them. I'm trying to think of how can I help them get through? How can I, help them make good money decisions? And I came across, did a little research, and some of this is content that all of us know, but it's good to refresh. But found a couple interesting facts that, most of college kids, when they're at home before they go to college, they don't have any debt. They don't have any bills. There's some people have car payments that they've set up, but I'd say majority of college kids probably don't even have that. Right. So all of a sudden they go to an environment where even though they might be getting their income supplemented from mom and dad, they've got to stretch that income throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And one article that I saw said that 75% of college students stress about debt, and that that's pretty shocking. I thinking back, I don't remember stressing a whole lot about not necessarily debt, but about money. Having enough money to do what they want to do.
I don't know that I really stressed about necessarily debt, but I did. Stressed about, did worry about money a little bit, but I always had what I needed. I didn't have everything I wanted.
Right.
But
yeah. That's
enough
right.
to have a good time.
That's right.
Like I was having a good time.
Sure.
With my buddies.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously you're not flush with cash in college most of the time. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about a few of those things. I mean, I think it's important for parents to discuss, if they haven't already, and even to refresh if they have had the discussion, so just some things that could make life a little easier, and also just good life skills. And so a couple of those things. One is have a budget, just a simple budget for a college kid. How much, if you're getting an allowance or whatever from your parents, or if a lot of college kids will have a job or work study or something like that, kind of get an idea of what that weekly and monthly income is, and compare it to your outflows. That's just a good life skill to have. You know.
I think some colleges, you have a meal plan, and it may not be 3 meals a day.
Right.
And so you may have a certain dollar figure that you can use for the week, and from that you got to make it last the whole week.
And so my sons that I've referenced one of them's in his third year of college, and one of them is getting ready to start his second year. And, I know that they've been through this whole process and discussion with the fact that you can't order Grubhub every day and make your money last, and you can't stop by Starbucks on the way to school every day. And you'll see that that your money's running out a lot quicker. So
that kind of goes along with wants and needs.
Yeah, and you referenced that earlier.
Yeah,
you had what you needed.
Yeah, exactly. And but I know that each college or university is different, but I think that they all certainly have some of the same characteristics in terms of maybe who they're surrounding themselves with, and they may be on a different budget than you are as a kid. I mean, with maybe different more or less means.
Right. I have a son that he's going away to college to up north, and he's running into some fairly wealthy families that have live in a different situation than possibly he lives in. He's got 4 brothers and sisters, and while we have a good healthy living, it's it's not he doesn't just get everything he wants, and so
he's having to adapt to.
That's right.
That.
And he gets put in situations, and it's not on purpose or anything, but he gets put in situations where he wants to do the things they're doing, and maybe the money's not in his bank account or accessible for him to do that. So, and that's there's nothing wrong with that, and it's a good learning process for him. But that's a reality, and sometimes that causes college students to overspend a little bit.
Yeah. Well, credit cards are another thing, and I think that a lot of parents need to be aware that when you go on a college campus, they're soliciting the students in the student centers or wherever it may be, bookstore. I know when we were there, they baited me in just because I wanted a free T-shirt.
Yeah, I remember those.
I got one, and my dad was a little concerned, but I didn't. I swore to him I wouldn't put anything on it, and I did that for a while. But there's a couple rules that may apply. I guess we kind of made some notes ahead of time. I mean, it's important, possibly. One option is just stay away until after college and just say have a rule that you're not going to have a credit card while you're in college.
Right.
You may be taking on student debt with college loans, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you may just as a parent say no credit cards while you're in college. Right. But you need to at least know they're going to be solicited.
Sure. And majority of Americans have dealt with out-of-hand credit card debt at some point, and it's not fun.
That's correct. And but at the same time, if you say, okay, you could use it as a tool to establish credit.
That's correct.
And, establish a credit report and show that you're paying the cards off. And if you do take one out, it'd be important, to kind of establish the rule of paying it off each month.
Yeah. And I think you kind of have to know your kid to do that. And at the end of the day, if they want to go get a credit card, they can, but you want to try to advise them on it. But if they're responsible and they have proven that they can handle such a thing like that, maybe let them try it. And there's some pretty useful cards out there for this type of thing. I know my bank offers something that's linked to my account where I can kind of help manage that with them for a while. I don't obviously want to pay a big credit card bill, but you can get one with a very small limit on it, where it's something that might be a big deal to them, but it's not a big deal in your overall financial picture as a parent. But and just help them kind of learn. Sometimes we learn through failure, unfortunately. But I mean, you've got a story.
Well, I'd listened to my dad and made sure that I didn't
use
it through college, and did not. But then before I started in the business we're in, I was a very lowly paid college assistant coach, and me and another one of my buddies, we made a little amount of money go a long way, and we were having a good time, and I was visiting him down at the college he was coaching at, and we didn't want to leave, and we were out of cash, and we didn't have a lot of money on it, so I pulled out the credit card, came out to pay $1.50 natural light.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I just paid that off within the last few years, and that was at least 25 years ago.
Yeah, that was a $10,000 beer.
$10,000 beer is what it was. It wasn't a $1.50 special by the time I paid it off. But you got to, once I cracked the old card open, it somehow or another more appeared on it.
Right.
So that's be aware of that.
And when you're talking about credit cards, it's a good chance to talk about how credit works, how the credit report system works, and and how that can affect your ability to get loans, and even when you go to apply for a job, you being in good credit standing can affect whether you're hired or not. And then also to discuss how compound interest works in reverse, to your disadvantage. It works very well for growing your money, but it hurts you when you're racking up charges. So
that's right.
Another thing that people have to deal with a lot, and just it's probably majority of people at some point have to decide whether student loans are right for them.
Yeah, and that could probably be a whole nother topic. So let's just cover a few things. You're exactly right. I mean, I know I had student loans, and
I did too.
And my wife, she did not. She was lucky enough to not, but she inherited them with me because it took a while to pay off. And just encourage everybody, if it's an option for your kid, to look at it and make sure that, that there is an option for them to go to school.
Yeah.
But, now with the soaring cost of education, you really need to evaluate if your kid is going, the amount of money you could potentially be borrowing or paying versus the degree they're going to get.
Yeah, and I know we talk about this a lot, but you can start seeing, and I know we all want the best for our kids, but you can kind of start seeing what their strengths and weaknesses are and skill sets are, kind of toward their end of the high school years and that kind of thing. And if there's no need for them to spend $100,000 on an education that's going to earn $40,000 a year, and which is nothing wrong with that kind of wage, but
if they're wanting a house to their own and a car, and then all of a sudden have to pay a large bill for a student loan, then that money that becomes an expensive life. We just encourage people to borrow as little as possible.
Yeah, and part of that is just looking at what the payments are actually going to be when you do take that loan. If you do take it, is it going to be something that I could stomach when I get in the workforce? And I read a quote that was pretty funny to me, given the fact that we've all in college. It's a lot easier to maybe take a little less loan and eat ramen noodles and live a little less high in college than it is when you're 30 years old in the workforce, and you gotta because of all the bills you got to pay, you got to eat ramen noodles. So
yeah, it's a good thing. I think a good friend of ours did kind of sat his daughters down and asked them what they wanted after college, and then as they were trying to determine what school to go to or their degree, and he made a list of what they wanted and then what it would cost, and that kind of helped them realize the expenses associated with the student loan and the cost of college too, and was it what path did they want to take? So, but that we could speak more about that at a later time as well, and individually with clients as well. But
there's this thought out there that the government's going to take care of all our student loans. And I wouldn't count on that.
I would not count on it. Probably if you're taking the time to listen to this podcast, then you probably aren't in that category. Sure. So let's talk about some scams and identity theft as well. Anytime you open up a credit card, or take out some debt, then if they're not aware of some of the different frauds or schemes out there, or the fact that they could have their identity stolen, then they're susceptible to your student, your kid is susceptible to that then.
Yeah, they're not prejudice against people with large bank accounts or small bank accounts. The identity thieves are looking for any kind of money, small or large.
And we want to make sure they always guard their PIN numbers and credit card numbers and passwords, certainly. And then, the identity theft as a whole can really mess someone up for a period of time if it's very not just young, but older individuals as well. But if it's something new, that's something we're aware of it. But that's for your two boys. They had never had to think about that.
No, and I know just in the last 6 months, my phone's been bombarded with texts of people trying to, basically mislead,
lure you in
into giving them personal information. And I think I've seen that in the news where that's a really high, something that's really happening a lot. And that you need to make your kids aware of that as well. Their phones they text a lot too.
Yeah, so they would need to, obviously the posting, watch what they post on social media. There's hackers involved there, and then opening up email attachments from emails they don't know.
Yeah.
That would be, we see that happen unfortunately quite a bit. And you're right with the text. I got one the other day that was from a credit union. It looked like it was from a credit union that I actually have an account at, but I didn't.
Yeah, I
certainly didn't respond.
I had one that said it was from Amazon. Now, after I looked deeper, the number obviously wasn't, but said it was from Amazon. Wanted me to log in and put in some information, and I of course deleted it immediately. But and went to the actual Amazon account and changed my password just to be safe. Now, I think it probably didn't have anything to do with each other. But anyway, it's a scary a scary world out there with scams and identity theft. But another thing, and I've actually had this discussion with my older son. What's the app that has been in the news? Robin Hood, yeah. So a lot of his buddies had gotten into getting a Robinhood account, and were trying to cash in on the GameStop,
ACM theaters, AMC.
Craze and that kind of thing. And I asked him about 8 months later how that went, and now. Granted, they probably were putting in at most $100, but to a college kid, that's a lot of money. But their stocks are obviously not doing very well.
Yeah, and that's really where you can also talk to the kid. There's where you can let them know there's a difference between investing and speculating.
Right.
We're investors for individuals and want people we work with. We want clients that we work with to be investors, not speculators.
That's right.
Because you can. It can gain a lot, but it can lose just as much or more.
So I learned that those stocks are called meme stocks. That's what, and I guess it makes sense where, you learn about it through TikTok or Instagram or something like that. And but that's where our kids get their information a lot of times, right or wrong. That's where they're getting it. So educate them about the process of long-term investing, and that get rich quick is not a something that happens.
It's not a quality financial plan. That's correct. Yeah. And, as we wrap up, that goes along with what you just said. I mean, have a long-term perspective. And, if you can establish that with your kids, they can really start off on a good foot with a good financial path. Yeah.
And, I think having the discussion, helping them, have a sense of direction, but also don't necessarily pave their road for them. We've all learned our best lessons from a failure or setback, and those setbacks still happen to all of us even today, especially financially. It could be a market pullback. It could be a bad purchase that we've made,
a lost job.
A lost job, and that's going to happen. You want them to not have a hard crash, obviously, with when they do have a setback. But if they kind of know the process of everything, they will survive it and be better off for it.
And if they're in a good financial footing, hadn't run up credit card debt, don't have it, then they're able to able to withstand that setback a whole lot easier.
So, with all this being said, it's seems like common sense, but you'll be surprised that someone that hasn't been through that, such as a kid entering college or a student, it's good to have those discussions. Maybe let them listen to this podcast, but help them build kind of a strong foundation of at least knowledge, and they'll be able to build wealth through that. But the biggest thing, help them to be able to not stress over that, their finances while they're in college. That's I know for many of us, college was a great time that we remember, and it's probably more stressful than ever for kids these age. But while we want them to learn, we want them to look back on those days fondly, and I think using some of these tips can help them do that.
I do. I think that's a great thing. And in terms of you listening to this podcast, and probably from a parent's perspective, the quicker you're able to do that, the quicker they get off your payroll.
That's
and
right.
So they're not pulling from and you can build your retirement plan better after those days. And for those kids that are listening to, or young adults that are listening to, I just encourage you that you're much more marketable, and you have less stress in your life and can have a lot more fun if you're off your parents' payroll too. That freedom is something that every kid wants, and if you're still living with or pulling from because of some financial decisions you made, I know that happens, but if you come out in good standing, it's a whole lot easier.
That's right.
So we wrap up today. I think that was a timely topic, but we appreciate everyone listening today. We had a good time putting it together, and we'd encourage you once again. We're Ryan Edwards and Les Stewart with Southeast Retirement Planners. We're located here in Hickory. Got a number of individuals throughout the Southeast and the country that we work with. But to find out more about us, I'd encourage you to go online, scretirementplanners.com. And then for those individuals that don't work with us, we offer those individuals a free financial checkup, and we can do that via Zoom or in person, however is most comfortable for that, and where we get to know each other, know what your situation is and what we have to offer and what services we provide. So you can find out or listen to this podcast again online. We have a library through our website, and if you can forward that link to individuals you think this information may be beneficial to, and you can also find all our past podcasts there as well.
Sure.
So we once again thank you for listening today, and we'll look forward to talking with you again.
All right.
Thank you.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA, SIPC. Southeast Retirement Planners is not affiliated with LPL Financial or registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor.